Congratulations, Dan. Nano One has just been awarded another $18 million by the Government of Quebec to support your LFP cathode production at the Candiac facility. Congratulations. Where do we start?
Thank you, Tracy. Great to be here. And yeah, look, great news for us this week, and very complementary to what we announced 2 months ago with the Department of Defense, U.S. Department of Defense. Most of this is directed towards what we're doing here in Candiac to bring this facility up to its deserved and maximum capacity.
Well, and further to that, you're employing quite a few Canadians. You know, you've really not only been making your shareholders happy, but you're employing Canadians. Would you like to talk a little bit more about this?
Maybe I'll just take it way back to the beginning. Like when we formed Nano One back in the day, was really only a couple of us. We and a couple investors. We really had this. We did have this vision of making something that was very Canadian and pan-Canadian. When the opportunity came to acquire the facility here in Candiac, we really cemented that concept. Obviously, now having the support of actually the U.S. government and now the Quebec government really backing what we're doing here in Canada is tremendously important for the North American supply chain, the security of the North American economy from a battery and battery materials perspective, and really trying to drive a holistic critical mineral supply chain here, not just LFP production. We've got iron and phosphorus and lithium, of course, here in Quebec, in Canada, and very much trying to drive a Canadian solution to a worldwide challenge.
Well, and speaking of that, just to back up to the most recent $18 million award, which was just announced yesterday, a $3 million grant, which is part of it, was provided by Quebec's Ministry of the Environment, the fight against climate change, wildlife, and parks throughout the Techno-Climate program. Well, now, doesn't that sound absolutely fascinating? How did you find out about this program, or did they find you?
We found them. The short word for this Techno-Climat is or Techno-Climate, and that's the award system that we went through. Of course, it goes through that ministry. Lovely long name that you just mentioned. And we approached them, but basically when we started the whole process of acquiring the facility here in Quebec, we began discussions with a number of different organizations within the government, including Techno-Climat, and it eventually resulted in their $3 million contribution of the total $18 million. 15 mil comes from the Quebec government, and that's in the form of a loan that we don't have to start repaying for another 5 years.
So I'm certain your shareholders are absolutely delighted. And of course, the Department of Defense announcement was a very big deal. And for those of you out there that may not be familiar with this award, I recommend you go to the Nano One website because it's just fabulous. But Dan, would you mind giving us some of the highlights of how you got this Department of Defense award and what's involved with it?
Well, listen, in brief, the DoD in the U.S. is, their mandate is to create secure, basically to create more security within the North American and the U.S. framework. And really what they're interested in Nano One for is we are a company that has a way to make lithium iron phosphate from local sources of iron, phosphorus, and lithium. That decouples from the traditional sources of critical minerals that are used in LFP, which all come from China. So by being able to decouple from that, while at the same time making it less complex, less costly, we eliminate all the wastewater, which improves the permitting, and we reduce the energy footprint. Those are all components to what we're bringing to the table that are of great interest to the DoD, because they believe it will create this can help foster and create a much more secure, sustainable, long-lasting supply chain in North America that will serve the North American economy and ultimately the DoD's longer-term interests as well.
Well, and in addition to that, was it just last week that you announced a progress update on your alliance with Worley? Do I have that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, that's correct. So Worley, we have a partnership with Worley, which is one of the largest engineering companies in the world, based out of Australia. They're about 50,000 people worldwide, just to give you a sense of their scale. And we're partnered with them. We call it an alliance, and we're partnered with them to to basically co-develop, co-market, and co-license technology. And this is technology that is a wrapper around our process technology to make LFP. So that's the intellectual property, the patents, the know-how. Also, the engineering plans, major pieces of equipment, and the design of a plant. And we have those preliminary designs now firmly in place, and we're currently out there marketing this to potential licensees. And these would be very large industrials or energy companies, or in fact other cathode companies that may and that are very much in the space and looking for a technical and economic advantage. And since we started the relationship 6 months ago, we've been working on a pre-sales package, which basically demonstrates the case for a one-pot enabled LFP production facility. And the study showed us clearly that if you took the Chinese process for making LFP and brought it here to North America, you'd have to build a precursor plant, you'd have to build a waste management plant, you'd have to build a cathode plant, and bring all of that together. And when you compare that to the Nano One process, this study showed that we are cutting costs, the capital costs, by over 30%, operating costs by as much as 30%, and the energy intensity by as much as 80%, which has obviously a big impact on cost itself, but also on GHG emissions and environmental footprint. Not only that, we completely eliminated all the water use. The wastewater and sulfate wastewater, which enables far better permitting, faster permitting, easier builds, and ultimately less risk in the financial decisions that need to be made when you're building these big plants.
Well, I personally love the name of it, the one pot process.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. So you've had an intense year this year. Can I ask you, is there anything that you want to leave our audience with at the end of this year with regards to Nano One materials?
Listen, I think it's no secret there are big headwinds in this whole space, be it in clean tech or battery space. We've had to be creative about how we bring in capital to support our movement forward, and we've done that through the DoD, through the Quebec government. Another program called NGen, which is Next Generation Manufacturing, is also working with us and Worley and funding part of our program. We sold some unused land to bring money into the treasury. All of that's non-dilutive capital in a time when capital costs are high. So look, we believe we're creating a tremendous opportunity here right now to build out the LFP supply chain. We're doing it at this point, a lot of it with non-dilutive money. I think there's a tremendous amount of leverage here. There's a tremendous amount of collaboration, not only with provincial governments here in Quebec, federal government in Ottawa, but also the U.S. So there's a cost element, there's an environmental element, and there's very much a strategic and security element to what we're doing with a lot of backing. And I think there's an opportunity here for certainly our shareholders to benefit from some of that push forward, and certainly encourage investors to have a closer look. There's a lot of catalysts in front of us, and we put a lot of really good sort of money and backing that's going to last us through the next couple of years as well.
Well, you can understand now why the CMI's theme for next year's event is the hunt for critical minerals and capital resources. On that note, for everybody out there who wants to stay up to date with Nano One materials, please go to their amazing website. And Dan, happy holidays to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tracy. All the best to you. Happy holidays too.